Okay, here's question 3 on the higher calculator paper. Let's read the question first. Simon went for a cycle ride. So he went for a cycle ride. He left home at 2 p.m. Now, I can actually see that on the graph. So the graph starts at 2 p.m. This side here says the distance. This is the time since he left home, right? Well, the time at which events happen. So that's 2 p.m. That's when he left home, right? And the distance there is 0. So that's when he left home. That's how I know that point. Okay. At 3 p.m., Simon stopped for a rest. So at 3 p.m., he stopped for a rest. That's 3 p.m. If I go up to the graph, I could see there that it's flat, right? It's horizontal. That means that he stopped. That means he's not moving. Between 3 p.m. and 3:30, it's flat, and he's at a constant distance from home of 12 kilometers. The question says, how many minutes did he rest? So I'm going to move this upwards a bit so we could see all of the question. Okay, so it says, how many minutes did he rest for? Well, I just said it. It was from 3 o'clock to 3:30. He stopped. It's really important that you see the scale here. That's 3 o'clock, that's 4 o'clock. That there is going to be 3:30, halfway. So how long did he stop for? That's simply 30 minutes. Right, he stopped for half an hour, but they want the answer in minutes, so it's 30 minutes. In part B says, how far was Simon from home at 5 p.m.? So at 5 p.m., how far away from home was he? Now, looking at the graph again, you go to 5 p.m., go all the way up to the top of that, to where it meets the graph, and you could simply read it off. I've drawn the line here just to put some extra emphasis on it, but at 5 p.m. he was 20 kilometers away from home. So I'm going to put that in there, 20 kilometers. Okay, those 2 marks for each of those parts are pretty straightforward. Let's look at part C. Right, there's a lot more there, right, but let's look at part C and see what they're asking in that bit of the question. At 5 p.m. Simon stopped for 30 minutes. So at 5 p.m. he's going to stop for half an hour, 30 minutes. Then he cycled home at a steady speed. Now what they mean by steady speed is that it's going in a straight line. Yeah, he's traveling at a constant speed. And it took him 1.5 hours to get home. It took him 1.5 hours to get home. So he stops for 30 minutes, and then it takes him 1.5 hours to get home at a steady speed. And the question wants me to complete the travel graph. So to finish off the travel graph. This is pretty straightforward. There are 2 marks for this part, but we're going to go back to the graph itself, and I'll remind you of what the question said. The question said that he stopped for 30 minutes. So I need to, as I was over here, where he stopped for 30 minutes, I need to do a similar thing. I need to draw a horizontal line that shows that for half an hour, 30 minutes, he stopped, he didn't move, and that is there. Okay, you can see that properly. Okay. And what they said after that was that he traveled at a steady speed for 1 hour and 30 minutes to get home. So from that point, for 1.5 hours, so if I go all the way down, that's 5:30. For 1.5 hours, so half an hour, and then another hour, 1.5 hours, he traveled home. Now, he gets home at 7 o'clock. So, to complete the travel graph, I'm going to draw a line from up top there, and that's my complete travel graph. Now, this is a pretty straightforward question, right? They usually come harder than this, but this is pretty straightforward. If you follow each step, think about what's necessary, and use a bit of common sense, you should be able to get full marks in this.